Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Pastafarian show, stream for the day. It's me, Sister Mitch. Welcome to all the Pastafarians and all the investigators, people who are questioning whether or not they're Pastafarians. Okay, welcome to the stream, you son of bitches. It's me, Schizophrenic Mitch. Yeah. So, I suppose that you're probably mostly Pastafarians out there listening to me, watching me streams. Today is the 16th of the 4th month of the 12,019th year. Pardon me, not 1200, 12,000th, but 12,000th and 19th. Year of language, as I like to call it, sort of when we started to really gather language in our minds. Yesterday in Paris, Notre Dame caught fire, and then Twitter fucking lost its fucking mind. Twitter and Facebook. I'm going to go through some of my Twitter and Facebook here. I can't show it to you because I'm going to tell you what some people have said about it. Let's see. Oh, it's moved on. Let me see more what I can find. I should save these, in like a folder, so that we can talk about what pisses me off, What pissed me off today? So, in the atheist, well, let's go to the atheist subreddit, because that's the important part, because there are a lot of people online that are saying crazy things like, oh, it's my favorite cathedral, and they're not Catholic, you know, like, and they're like, oh, my favorite cathedral, and it's like, is it because they made a Disney movie about it? Is that why you love it so bad? Because yes, that's why you love it. Do you love it? How many witches were burned out front? You know, like, do you like that about it? Do you like when the really evil guy from fucking Notre Dame is in the Hunchback movie is the religious guy? Like, are you not seeing what we're saying here? So anyway, let's go to the atheism subreddit. Doop. And it's probably stickied at the top. Yeah. On the tragedy unfolding in Paris. So it says the subreddit stands with the people of France and empathetic people the world over. So that right there is it's the beginning of the problem. The word empathetic. Okay? The next sentence is, the loss of an historic, it's an historic, it really is, the loss of an historic, culturally, like, that's the correct word, and they say ahistoric. So, you know, they're being pedantic about the wrong things again, so let's check it out. The loss of an historic, culturally relevant monument and defining feature of Paris is a great disaster. I mean, it's a minor disaster. A great disaster is like a fucking tsunami that hits India and kills 100,000 people. That's a great disaster. That's a great loss of life. Loss of something we can never get back. That's a great disaster. This is a minor disaster. We lost one of our things. Okay? So
our little cocoon.
Right.
Our little
right.
Shells.
A shell. A gross, rotten, old, one of the oldest shells that we have. Right.
So quickly and easily.
Right. Yeah, and a defining feature of Paris is a great disaster. It's a minor disaster. If we were to lose the Eiffel Tower, we'd be like, oh, fuck. We should have taken better care of it. What a minor disaster. If we lost 1,000 people, and the Eiffel Tower. That would be a great disaster. Oh, shit. They couldn't get out. Oh, the humanity. Think of it. You know, if the fucking Hindenburg burned with no one on it, it would just be like, oh, wow, that's fucking hilarious. It's the people on it. And as far as I know, no one got hurt in the Notre Dame fire. Even up to this point, as far as I know, no one got hurt. And let me do say, at this point in time, we do not believe it's arson. And so I believe, given the benefit of all the doubt, that it was accidentally set aflame during its refurbishment, because no one is to blame for that.
It was under construction.
Right. So I'm not blaming anybody. I'm saying, what an ironical happening, okay? I'm not saying someone lit this on fire. I'm definitely not saying, let's burn down all the cathedrals. This is my thesis for the day on this subject.
Nice.
If you see it on fire and you feel good feelings, it's okay. Okay? Don't let anybody tell you you're a monster. Okay? Because a lot of that is what's going on here. Is there are people saying, if you feel happy about this at all, you're a monster, and that's not true.
Yeah, because I'm happy it's going. It's a hate machine.
I mean, so you can feel it.
Yeah.
You can feel happy about this, and that's not something you need to change inside you. Okay? It's not a moral imperative to stop yourself from feeling that. Don't squash that until it goes away. That's a fine feeling. If you're thinking, well, I mean, think about all the witches that were burned. Let's fucking burn that motherfucker.
I'm thinking about my own. Think of all the sluts that were burned.
The prostitutes,
Yeah.
the absolute sex workers that were slain by the bullies.
Tortured.
The bullies that lived and inhabited that disgusting shell in prime real estate in one of the greatest cities on earth for 800 years, right?
Yeah.
Fucking sitting there like a hate factory, eh?
Yeah.
Let's go on to the next line of this atheism, because there's an important line in here. There's already been 2 winks, or 1 wink, empathetic. Regardless of personal beliefs and convictions, regardless of religious sentiment or lack thereof, regardless of political, economic... First of all, this needs to be a semicolon here. You can't put a period here, that's not really a sentence. It's a poem. They're writing poetry here, but they're not making it look like prose. And so that's the problem. This is, of course, poetry. If you look at it and you see how it is, it's like, it's poetry, but it's hiding as prose. And so that's what everyone's saying when they're seeing it burn, and they're having this need to stand by the victims. That's a religious concept. That's a poetic concept. But they're hiding it as reasonable, empathetic, good, moral. And it's not. It's sort of kinky to you. It's your spiritual kink. That you're like, oh, I don't want to gloat at all. And anyone gloating about the tragedy of this is a monster. That's not real. That's sort of a kink you have, a definition that you have in your world because of something important going on, right?
Yeah.
Because you're the good guys and they're the good guys and he's the bad guys because
or you
of
believe in being polite.
Right.
Honest.
What? Yeah. And this guy winks.
Lying more
This
than truthful.
Yeah, this atheism guy will wink at the kink here in the bottom. Let's wink at my kink for a second.
It's very whistly today.
Yeah, I need to take my pills. Regardless of political, economic, and cultural division, all, and here's the second one, well-meaning people. So he's saying if you don't agree with this, you're not well-meaning. And he said if you don't agree with me earlier, you're not empathetic. And I am well-meaning, and I am empathetic, and I disagree with you. So, fuck you. It is important to treasure our heritage and honour, and so he's got the British honour there. And so if you're going to do the British honour and not an historic, then you're kind of a douche. The accomplishments of those who came before us. Yes. Okay, I'll get back to this argument. We're not talking about this argument yet. We're talking about this douche. We lament the loss, but choose to be hopeful for the future, to trust that the people of France, with their usual fortitude and determination, will rebuild and restore. Why rebuild? Why do they have to rebuild Notre Dame? We hope that the brave men and women who risk their lives fighting this to contain this fire will come through unscathed, and the fire will be under control soon. That statement needs to be way, way higher. The idea that the important thing here is loss of life, needs to be way higher on people's minds. It was in my first response to this idea of like, hey, the building's a piece of shit. I sure hope nobody died, right? Like, that's important. No one's talking about it. How many people were hurt in this? I can't find any information. Right? Right? It's all like, oh, the bell towers are fine. Like, oh, good for the fucking bell towers. So this is my point. Is it's the fifth part of his thing. But his mind thinks she's calling himself empathetic, and then it's in the fifth paragraph that he empathizes with living humans. So I mean, come on, right? Fourth paragraph, thank you. We hope that the brave men and women... No, fifth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
And then the sixth one says, this subreddit and people the world over value the contributions the people of France have made to our shared global culture. French bullshit. We trust that the Notre Dame will be restored to its former glory in time. Oh, did I miss something? No. There's another one here. So first of all, let's talk about the use of the word glory by an atheist in this fucking circumstance, okay?
Yeah.
Because that's sort of the kink that I'm talking about. But there's another statement in here pretty earlier or somewhere, and it was like, hey, don't fucking... Someone's all like, let's not be who they think we are, right? Someone says, when this is happening, let's not... I wish I could find that. I'm going to go find that. Maybe I'll put some music on and find that one too, and talk shit about it. Should we talk about this argument here? His argument, though. It's important to treasure our heritage and honor the accomplishments of those who came before us. Are we going to enshrine Neverland Ranch? And if we do, if we take Neverland Ranch and it becomes a place people can go, okay, like a Disneyland, and there's Michael Jackson music playing everywhere, and the rides are working, and there's more rides, and there's a zoo, and it only costs $20, and kids are free on Fridays, and it's been going for 20 years, and everybody loves it, and then it catches on fire, and Macaulay Culkin and many of his friends get together and watch it burn and weep, and they feel good feelings about Neverland Ranch coming down.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that's really good.
I'm not telling you how to feel about this. I'm not saying you guys are wrong for fucking feeling emotional about this, although you are. Because, no, this is a hate factory. This is Auschwitz. This is Neverland Ranch. This is the fucking fundamentalist Mormons temple in Texas. There was abuse happening. And if you are the abused, and you see it burn down, and you have good feelings, don't let anyone call you the monster.
Yep.
That's what I'm saying.
Yep.
They are the monster.
Fuck yeah.
If their house is burning because of their neglect and their bullshit and their weak, dead God, and that makes me feel good inside, you cannot demonize me for this. This is an okay reaction.
How dare you shame the
yes. How dare you shame the victims who are finally getting something from this universe. Watching that hate machine get what it deserves. Watching that spire fall can be very good for some people. And if you don't allow it to them, you're not being empathetic. So go suck a dick. This is not about the building, okay? The building is a thing. It is a thing made by monsters, alright? Made by monsters with stolen money, with stolen workers, with stolen artists, alright? Those artists should have been free. They were slaves. Witches were burned out front. Boys were molested inside. Last fucking year.
Nuns were as well.
Yes. Women were treated like second-class citizens. This is a monument to slavery, a monument to misogyny. And if you have good feelings when you see it on fire, that is more than allowed. That is expected if we are empathetic people. Now, if you watch The Hunchback of Notre Dame, and that means a lot to you when you were a kid, and you're seeing the real thing burn, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is making me feel weird feelings. That's fine. You can have those feelings of like, oh, I must protect it.
Or I want it rebuilt.
I want it rebuilt.
Or I miss it, or I'm sad for this. You can have any of those.
Those are
feelings
fine feelings, okay?
as well.
Yes.
You don't have to join me in my joy.
But let those who will celebrate. Do not demonize them. Do not call them monsters. Yeah. And what are we going to rebuild? Are we going to rebuild the building as it stood? Or are we going to rebuild the temple for Jupiter that stood there before the Christians came along and tore it down?
Ooh.
Can we have them both? Can we... They both require the same space.
Yeah.
It's the same problem.
How many years was the Jupiter one there for, you know?
Right,
in
no one was
comparison?
counting. It could have been 1,000 years.
Yeah.
Because that's the point. This shit was built in fucking, what, 1200, 1300? The Romans were there at 0.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking about an 850-year-old building that replaced a 1,500-year-old building.
Yeah.
So I want that one back. Can you give that back to me? You can't, because these bastards, these monsters, came in and burnt it down and then murdered anyone who wept for it. Okay? That's how they took this country from the natives. And Christians been doing this with the sword from the beginning. Fucking, there was a sword when they came and they took Jesus. There was swords in this from the beginning. Jesus said, buy 2 swords. This thing was military from the beginning. So,
And how many years afterwards was Roman Empire taken over by Christianity? It was
300.
It was moved
Well,
to
250.
Istanbul, how many years?
250.
The capital, and then claimed that was their main religion, and then...
Yeah, changed the religion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then...
Yeah, that's a disease.
And,
It's a virus.
right, and the guy who moved it is that, yeah, Constantine is the guy that made the empire Christian and moved the capital. It wasn't the Roman Empire anymore, it was the Constantinople Empire. Mm-hmm. So, Christianity killed Rome. Alright.
Yeah, they are aggressive.
Yeah, it's
And the Old Testament is all about aggression, and you're allowed to kill neighbors, and God sanctions it.
bitch, I am all about aggression.
Shit,
Man. Fuck!
Celebrating that there was destruction to the hate factory, man.
Yeah, you're allowed to. You're allowed to celebrate it. And if someone says you're not allowed to celebrate it, ask them why. Right? Ask them. This is part of the conversation. And so, you know, if you do have any comments about this, if you're like, whoa, dude, you gotta chill out. You can't be espousing this hate. I'm not. You're misunderstanding me. No. Let's talk about it. Ask some questions.
I've done no harm, I keep to myself. There's nothing wrong with my state of mental health. I like it here with my childhood friend. Here they come, those feelings again. Who can it be now? 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 Is it the men come to take me away? Why do they follow me? It's not the future that I can see. It's just my fantasy.
All right. Here we go. I've got this thing. Here is a thing. Let's talk about this thing now. Another post in atheism. Subreddit atheism. And I think the subreddit atheism was like part of the default package for a minute there on Reddit. I don't know if you guys are Redditors. Reddit is not what it used to be. Let me tell you this. 5 years ago, it was one thing, and now it is another thing. And, you know, both things are good and useful, but I would prefer to have the one thing, to be honest. Kind of, I'm the same about World of Warcraft, as it were. Especially with Burning Crusade, is like, I wish this was just vanilla, though. I really enjoyed vanilla. That's, you know, and then Cataclysm was like that. It was like, oh well, you know, this would have been nice if it was more like fucking that last one, which was really good. Lich King. I guess. I think it peaked in Lich King, although vanilla was amazing.
Vanilla was awesome.
Do put in.
So is AQ and Zoltan. ZG. AQ and ZG.
That's all vanilla. Too. Yeah, that's all vanilla.
You count that in vanilla? Wow.
Yeah, because it's pre-Burning Crusade, right?
Okay.
They were the patches. Not like release. I'm not talking about release, but
what do you call like the 40-man stuff? The Burning Crusade.
Well, no, because the Burning Crusade is when they opened the gate to
yeah.
Outlands, eh?
All their fucking names.
Yeah. So Burning Crusade is when you get out of vanilla,
yeah.
right? When they open the gate to the Outlands.
Yeah.
Yeah, remember that? The first time you got killed by someone who was flying? Like, how the fuck did he do that? Like, I literally opened up a ticket to a GM, or whatever they were called. I started typing it, and I was like, this motherfucker, out of nowhere, just fucking kills me, and then he, like, fucking flies away. Like, I think he's hacking. And it's like, oh, no, that's right. They have flying mounts now. And he just is ahead of the curve and decided what he wanted to do with a flying mount is go murder people. And I'm like, oh, it's the first time I'd ever seen a flying mount in the game. I was murdered by some son of a bitch with it. In what was west of the Hellfire Peninsula? What was west of that? Oh, come on, you do too know.
No.
It was mushrooms. It was a mushroom forest. You're just pretending you just think you're too nervous to remember. Okay. So, Hellfire Peninsula, right, it had that big fucking fortress in it. It was all red and disgusting, and it was all open and mountainy and gross.
Yeah.
And then you go west, and then all of a sudden it starts to get wet, and there's like those slimy monsters.
A lot of druids.
Yeah, and they're like some weird. They're not human druids, eh? In there, they're like some weird mermaid monsters.
Oh yeah.
Big old mushrooms, and there's people living on top of the mushrooms. Huge mushrooms. You don't remember this? Some sort of forest. Zangarif or I don't remember. Alright, so here is another... Anyway, tell us what that forest is just west of the Hellfire Peninsula. Because that's where I was murdered by a flying motherfucker. Here is a post. And this post is still only 1 day old. The Notre Dame Cathedral is on fire, is the title. Continued title. Please, let's show our restraint and not say the first thing that comes to mind. So at least here, they're confessing that their first reaction is to be like, whoop! Yeah, bitch! Take that! Fucking, you God gonna save your fucking pretty building now?
Yeah.
Like, at least
I thought it's protected by God. What's going on?
I guess he doesn't care if it burns, eh? Like,
yeah, that's what I want to be like, in your face.
Right. And so at least this guy's admitting that that's his first honest, real action. Mm-hmm. See, real action is like your real reaction. You see what I've done there? So go ahead, you gotta guys have some reactions. So then that's the title, and then the body is this. You know what I mean, guys. I kind of don't. Okay, I don't, and so he ought to, right? Well, I guess I ought to say, but it got locked before I could even comment. Let's keep this serious and professional. A, this is Reddit. B, this is still fucking Reddit. It's not serious. It's not professional. The fuck are you talking about? We are anonymous on this fucking thing. Let's keep it professional, group of anonymous. What do you fucking think this is? Keep it professional. First of all, I am professional. I'm a professional fucking prophet. I do this for a fucking living for the last 3 fucking years. Altogether, I've made $600 at this. Alright? So, unless this guy's making more than that, he can shut his fucking mouth. He's not professional, is he? How much money is he making off of this? Keep it professional. Suck a dick. And then here is him admitting he's playing their game. This last sentence is, let's not be what they think we are. And now here is exactly the problem. And it takes him about 5 or 6 sentences, well, three or four, to go from, there's something on my mind, to let's not be who they think we are. You're always going to be who they think you are. They think you're someone who doesn't believe in God. They're right. You must be who they think you are, or you're pretending to be something you're not. They think you're an atheist. You are. Be it. If your game really, really is, let's not be what they think we are, you're going to lose that game. And that is why atheism is broken. Here's what happens. Here's what happens. I may have said this yesterday. I said it to somebody. Here, would you open this door for my dog? You're having a conversation. I say thought A. That leads you to think thought B. You say thought B. That leads me to say thought C. I say thought C. That leads you to say, or that, right? You think this, you say this. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. See how it goes? That's easy. And then, and from A, you have no idea where it's going to end. And you don't have to. You just have to be with someone who plays the game right and play the game right. Think it, say it. Be it, live it, love it. Right? Be here. Okay? Accept this reality for what it is. Live here in reality. Don't hate reality. Don't need a heaven. Don't need a hell.
Yep.
So, let's not be what they think we are. Okay, so here's how the problem gets fucked up. I say A. That causes you to think B. You say B. That causes me to think C. That causes me to think you didn't hear me say A. I say A. That causes you to think B. You say B. That causes me to think C. That causes me to think you didn't hear me say A. You see the problem I'm having here? Do you see it? Or do I need to go through it again?
Yeah, with pictures, please. The diagram or something.
Oh my god.
The pinout.
Dude, I don't know how to make all this tech shit work. Jesus. So, like, I hope that's not too complicated. I hope I'm not being an asshole. But that happens in our heads. Okay? We go back a step in the conversation. We choose to do that. And every time we go back in the conversation, we are dooming our conversation partner to repeat themselves. We're dooming them. They never get to fucking C. They're going to feel crazy, or D. They never get to thought D, because we never say thought C. Okay? So they're stuck thinking thought B. They start feeling crazy after a while. It's our fault. Okay? They just keep thinking it over and over and over, and it's like, what's going on? What's going on?
Yep.
What's going on is you're doing something in your head, and you are bringing the conversation back. Your reactions need to be real actions. They need to be, do you have any happiness in your heart that the fucking Notre Dame is on fire? Yeah, a little. That needs to be your true reaction. And then you need to say, end happily, no one got hurt. I love that. I love that no one's hurt in this. I love that it's not terrorism. I love that it seems like it's just fucking on fire accidentally. And, you know, I guess it's kind of tragic that an 800-year-old building's on fire. You can let it be the fifth thought in your mind.
But also, it's a hate machine.
Right, and then you can have a sixth thought, and then seventh, and an eighth. And you only need one fucking you know, I guess it's kind of tragic that all that art is burning. You only need one of those, okay? You can have all the rest of your thoughts. Be really happy about it and really be like, yeah, fuck them fucking Catholics. And why the fuck were they having 10 goddamn masses in there every fucking week in a fucking 850-year-old building? They gave it to France, but they still got to fucking use it all the time. And they're the ones that probably decided the fucking who's doing the construction on it. And they're the ones that chose to use the cheapest one because God's gonna fucking protect us. And they're the ones who are protecting their fucking money. And the Vatican is a nation and these are their embassies. And that is the real situation. That the Catholic Church is there, privately, in French-owned shit, in a fucking UNESCO World Monument, or a World Heritage Site. And they need to fucking give them to the fucking countries, and they need to move out of those museums because they cannot take care of them. Obviously, this is the Catholic Church's fault. It proves their God is dead. He will not resurrect it by Easter like he promised he would. The Catholic God is dead, and I can be happy about that. Because this building has always been a major piece in a bloody, hateful war. For 850 years, this thing has perpetuated hate and violence, and people have died every year. It may have been beautiful for some, but it was incredibly, incredibly ugly and grotesque for others. And it is a piece, it is a tendril of the hateful and dead and rotten God of the Catholics, and they protect their priests. They protect their sexual predators, they fucking burned their fucking witches, they fucking inquisited their members, they fucking colonized this entire fucking planet.
And killed whoever they thought was
whomever.
Stupid.
And then demanded to be thanked for bringing the true God. They demanded, still, they say, sorry for how many people we killed, but at least we brought you Jesus. So, this is not a benign building. It can be beautiful for some, that's fine. You can go to Neverland Ranch and call it beautiful. They might have used amazing architects to build Auschwitz, but they still killed people there. And you can say it's a loss to lose a prison that we've been using for 200 years. The prison's on fire. But the families of the prisoners that were abused and murdered in there can rejoice. Okay? Do not call them monsters, for you are not being empathetic to the humans involved. You are being empathetic to a piece of stone created by monsters. And it does not deserve your empathy.
Fuck yeah.
So, that's how I feel about Notre Dame. Mm-hmm. If any great pieces of art were lost, oh well. Hopefully we got good pictures of it. Hopefully, because there's lots of art that I don't ever get to see. Okay?
Yeah.
This is life. This is how it goes. Oh well, we should have protected it better.
It's a continually explosion. It's always changing. To demand our things to stay
Yes.
is not...
It's to deny what reality is. Yes, yes. So first of all, the art needs to have been removed from that, or that needs to have been declared a museum. Okay? That needs to happen to all of the great pieces of art in the hands of the insane Catholic Church. We need to get the Sistine Chapel declared a museum. We need to get them the fuck out of there. These pieces of art, these pieces of culture that we value, we need to get them away from the hateful Catholic Church and into neutral hands, or they will not be preserved. They will be pawns in a war. And all of these are. And that's why... Okay,
Yep.
So now let's talk about the hypocrisy. Let's talk about the hypocrisy of weeping for this building the Christians will weep for this building and demand that the Dome of the Rock be removed. They were built in practically the same year.
Now tell me more about this Dome of the Rock.
The Dome of the Rock is the Golden Dome building in the middle of Jerusalem on the tallest hill.
I've seen pictures of it.
There's a Wailing Wall where the Jews smooch the wall.
Yes.
On the other side of that wall is a big open space, and in the middle of that open space stands the Dome of the Rock with a gold dome. And you go down into it, and there's a stairs down into like a cave and a hole. And this was the holiest of holies for the Temple of Solomon. It was underneath the temple. This is also thought to be the place that maybe Abraham went to go stab his son.
Okay.
This is the place. Some people probably believe that fucking Adam, when he came out of the Garden of Eden, fucking this is the fucking place. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of fucking this is the places right here. Okay? Maybe they think it's the fucking the center of the world, eh? Mm-hmm. Some people. And so underneath that there's a cave, and you can see video of the down in that cave and people just chilling down there. And that thing was built around 1300, I think, 1350, by the Muslims that inhabited that place at the time. And they took it over in fucking 700 or whatever, who knows, with war, okay? Before that, it was nothing. Or, you know, it was torn down in, the temple was torn down in 74 by the Romans, after the fucking Hebrews just kept fucking rebelling, and the Romans are like, hey, we gotta send a message to everyone that this is bad, this is a bad idea, and so they tore down the temple, and then they put it on their coins. So that happened in 74, and then there were hundreds of years of just sort of like, oh, we're fucked, we're totally fucked, because they were, dude, the fucking Romans were ruthless to them. And, you know, they sort of had, they raised and they lowered, and they raised and they lowered, and then they got took over by the Muslims, and then they were Muslim for a long time, and then the Christians came in, and, you know, they knocked the crescent off of the top of the fucking building, and they put a cross on there, and then hundreds of years later, someone knocked that cross down, put a crescent up.
Okay.
Right? So that's going on in Jerusalem. So, all of the Christians in America say that before Jesus comes back, we got to get rid of the Dome of the Rock and rebuild the temple of the Jews that hasn't been there since the year 74.
Wow.
And none of the Christians will weep for the Dome of the Rock, which is a great tragedy if we lose it. It's a cultural phenomenon. It's one of our greatest works by some of our greatest artists. And they will wipe it off the table as soon as they can, so they can rebuild what needs to be there, which is the Jewish temple. But no one will rebuild the temple to Jupiter that stood at the place where Notre Dame stood for longer than the Jewish temple stood. The Jewish temple stood from the year 150 AD. It was Herod's temple. That temple stood for less than 100 years. How long did the temple to Jupiter stand on that island in the middle of the Seine? How long did that stand? If I say, these Christians were invaders, and we need to get this back to the way it was, we need the temple of Jupiter here, who's with me? No Christians are with me. These fucking hypocrites. Ian Wood says, "Hi Mitch, how are you today? I am recovering from a spell of anger. A very. Yesterday I was quite angry about people's condemnation of people who were celebrating the death, the burning at the stake of our mother, the Notre Dame in Paris. In the atheist community, there were lots of messages of, you're not empathetic if you're celebrating this. And that is incorrect. You're not empathetic if you can't realize that some people are going to celebrate this. So I'm recovering from that, as it were, Ian. I've got a lot of it out, like a boil, eh? You squeeze and the pus comes squirting out. spewing truth as it goes. Thank you for asking. So yeah, but so I've got streaming again. I've got my fucking bills to pay, like every fucking day. The Safe Word Studios is really fucking riding me. I send him like 3 emails a day. I can't fucking check my email anymore. I've got my phone on silent all the time. Like, they've sent people over to my house I don't even recognize. They're like, hey, so, fuck, I'm working on it, right? Jesus. And so, I have received messages from my friends, who went to the High School for Geniuses with me. And they're sort of confused as to why I would say my things. I think. But they don't say that. They just express their opinion, which is good, which is right, which is what you should do. Express your opinion, but don't criticize someone else's opinion, and that's what I'm criticizing, is the people who are telling other people how to feel about this. Because no, everyone gets to feel about this how they want to feel about this, and to say that people who feel this way can't empathize is to misunderstand the situation, I think. Is the nicest way to put it. It's sort of to be caught up in the way you feel about it. So one of my friends says, as a lifelong atheist, he said, as an atheist, I was an atheist before it was cool, and I really love that building. And that is correct. That is right. He's allowed to love it. That's the point, is I'm not telling him, you must feel this way about it. You must identify this as the Auschwitz that it is. I'm not saying that. I'm saying you can feel that way. Mm-hmm. That's the point. And you can come here and say you feel that way. Mm-hmm. But you cannot say, all we empathetic people feel this way. You cannot say that. That is wrong. That is immoral. You're not correct. And you're shaming people. Mm-hmm. And you don't have the authority to do that. And you're walking around like you do. You're walking around like you've done the math. And you know that everyone who's excited about this is excited for evil, immoral reasons. The answer is you have not done the math. Because it's easy to do the math, and you are just feeling like it's already been done. You're just coming to the situation and saying, as a person who's good at math, I've already done this math, and I know how it turns out. And it's like, no, let's do this math. Let's check it out. I hear that at the same... Well, I don't know. I haven't seen much evidence about this. So, yeah, forget it. I'm not going to push sort of conspiracy theories. Yeah, except for the Christian conspiracy trying to take over this country.
Yeah.
I was reminded online the other day, I'm in this very fun sarcastic argument with some people that the atheists are trying to take over the country. A new study has come out that the atheists have overtaken the evangelicals as the largest, or the nuns. The correct answer is the people who check, or the correct answer. I've got to say it correctly, and so the actual information is the people who check none on this particular study or group thing, census, outnumbered the people who picked any other option. And so that's good. That's very good. Most of those people are closeted Pastafarians. 90% of our people are closeted, and some of them are in the atheist community, and some of them are in the religious communities. And so I responded to someone's post of that because I wanted to retweet that, and then sarcastically said the atheists are trying to take over this country. Sarcastically, because this is an atheist country and the Christians are taking over, right? It's funny, and it's sarcastic, and as a Pastafarian, it works pretty well because I like to condemn the atheists because they really need to step up their goddamn game in this fucking game. So it's because the atheists aren't playing this game right that the real, true believers got to be Pastafarian. Anyway, I'm driving for one certain fucking lecture here from my book, my first volume of scripture that is now available at our Patreon. Page 99 I'll be going over today if you want to open yours to page 99. And so I'm driving for this sermon and I keep getting distracted by other potential sermonettes. My book is full here, of 198 pages, and I really would like to go over this with you during the next few weeks here. And if you had one at the ready, you'd be able to ring it along with us. And so anyway, I'm getting distracted by these other sermonettes, and I really mustn't. I must remember that we've got the time. Each of these pages will definitely have its time to be said. Lots of notes as well, just stacks and stacks of papers that really I need to get out there. And Radio Show, I think, is the best place for that. But as always, if you have any questions, put them in the chat. Ian Wood asked a question. That was very, very kind and helpful in reminding us that we're not alone in this room. Because, sometimes I get really burpy. And, I forget there's people around. I'm just sort of ranting to my own inner demons, as it were. So, November 13th, 1861, written by Reverend Mark R. Watkinson from Ridleyville, Pennsylvania, to the Secretary of Treasury, Salmon P. Chase. Have you ever heard the name Chase before? Mm-hmm. Where have you heard the name Chase before?
Chase Bank.
Chase Bank. What do you think the chances are that Chase Bank and this motherfucker Salmon P. Chase from 1861, are the same motherfucker? How much you want to bet?
What's up, Fred?
I'd like to bet every single one of Salmon P. Chase's dollars. That's what I'd like to fucking bet. Yeah, it's the same guy. Wow. So, yeah.
Wow.
He was the Secretary of the Treasury. And some motherfucker says, "Dear Sir," on November 13th, "Dear Sir, you are about to submit your annual report to the Congress respecting the affairs of the national finances." You're about to. I wonder when the deadline was. He's like, "Hey, so your letter's coming up, eh?" I've got to translate this because this is an old-timey American.
Yes.
"One fact touching our currency has hitherto been seriously overlooked. I mean, the recognition of the Almighty God in some form on our coins." It's really hard to understand, so let me translate it. There is a fact about your job, because you're the king of the currency, and there's something going on with the currency that we've been overlooking. There's a problem with the coinage of this country, he says. I'm talking about the name of God. It's not on our coins. He says, there's a problem. And what I mean by that is, and so it's not really, he needs another sentence in here. Make this one sentence, he's trying to use flowery language to pretend like the letter has more substance than it is. It's like, we got a problem, son.
Fill it up.
We need to put God on the money. Mm-hmm. This is the third paragraph, and you can look this up, eh? You can go find this. Because this is some fucking damning shit. And please don't take my word for it. I might have written it wrong in my book. So go fucking find it. But this is what Mark R. Watkinson says to Salmon P. Chase. You are probably a Christian. Okay? Third paragraph. Here we get to the heart of it. Dude, I'm a Christian. I know you're a Christian. We're both Christians. Mm-hmm. What if, he says, our republic, meaning the United States of America that recently had a civil war, were not shattered beyond reconstitution? What if the country had broken, he says? Would not the antiquaries of succeeding centuries, that's you and me, would not the people from the future rightly reason from our past that we were a heathen nation? Wouldn't the people who looked at us, if this country had died, wouldn't the people who looked at that country been right to believe that this country was a heathen country, that this country was non-Christian? If the people of the future looked at the country that was divided, wouldn't they be correct to assume it was non-Christian? That's what he's saying. He literally says that. What I propose is that instead of the goddess of liberty, we shall have next inside the 13 stars a ring with the words God, liberty, and law. So I've taken a little bit out where he describes what else he wants in there, the imagery. And then at the end he says, put these words, God, liberty, law. So that God is finally on the coins. So he describes a coin with the word God in it. I've taken some out because it's fucking stupid. But I left in there the idea that he is talking that there now sits on our coins a depiction of the goddess of liberty.
Isn't that a goddess?
Yeah, a
Didn't
picture.
he talk about how our coins don't show that we're a heathen nation? Because there's no gods on our coins, but there's a goddess. There's a picture of a goddess.
There's a depiction of a goddess of liberty, but we don't worship that goddess. It's just sort of figurative.
Oh, right.
Okay, and by heathen he means non-Christian.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what heathen means to him. Everyone who's not a Christian is a fucking heathen. And so he's saying this is a non-Christian nation. We need to fucking make it look like it is. So let's put this word God on the money and let's take off the goddess of liberty. Okay? Now, I might be making this up. Okay? I might be writing this to make him sound like a total piece of shit. So you can go look it up. Here is the last paragraph. This would make a beautiful coin to which no possible citizen could object. This would relieve us. Okay, so first of all we're saying, my coin's beautiful because it's got God. The art's shit. The shit I described is nonsense. I'm not a fucking artist. I didn't ask anyone's opinion about it, but I got the word God on there, so this is the most beautiful thing, and no one can fucking hate it. That's what he says.
Yep.
And then he says, this would relieve us, so changing this, the reason to do it is because it would relieve us from the ignominy of heathenism. It would relieve us from our current state of how heathen we are. He's saying this will change us. This will go from how we are to how we ought to be. This is very important. This would place us openly under the divine protection we have personally, we, meaning the two people involved, you and I, the Christians, the divine protection that you and I personally claim, that we have personally claimed.
Wow.
Let us claim nationally what we claim personally, the divine protection of Jesus Christ the Savior. Let's do it by putting the word God on the money. Let's do it now. His salutation is, to you first I address a subject that must be agitated. He admits immediately that it just began. Based on nothing, starting now, let's do this together. Us who agree that our religion is true, we secret Christians who make secret vows, let's now make them publicly. And let's do that by putting the word God on the money and removing liberty. Now, you can imagine what the Secretary of Treasury, Shaman P. Chase, said to this man. I'm reminded much of what fucking Joseph Smith was responded to when the governor of the state of Illinois found out what he was doing in Nauvoo and that he had destroyed a printing press. He wrote back such a scathing condemnation of the un-American abuses that were happening under the watch of Joseph Smith. So let's listen to what Shaman P. Chase wrote back but 1 week later. November 20th, 1861, Secretary Chase to James Pollock, Director of the Mint at Philadelphia. Dear Sir, no nation can be strong except in the strength of God, or safe except in His defense, capital H. The trust of our people in capital God should be declared on our national coins. You will cause a device to be prepared without unnecessary delay, with a motto expressing in the fewest and tersest words possible this national recognition, being the thing that he said earlier, the statement in the first paragraph. So then on December 9th of 1863...
Wait, do your, make it so I can
Oh,
understand.
read it? All right. He says, no nation can be strong except in the strength of God. There is humans are pathetic. Only God is power. Truth comes from God. God is love. We cannot be safe with our own defenses. We can only be safe in his defense. Our army means nothing. Only his love is what keeps us safe. And his love is earned because we are Christians. The trust of our people in God, the God of Christ, the one true Redeemer, the God of Jerusalem and the Hebrews, the God of Israel and Isaac and Jacob, and that God who hates the faggots and the women and tells us we can have slaves, shall be declared on our national coins. So, that first letter convinced him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like how long?
Strongly.
It left where?
It was like a,
Pennsylvania.
oh shit, why haven't I done this before?
Mm-hmm. That he was literally waiting for someone else to tell him to do it, otherwise he couldn't do it. And so when so who the fuck, by the way, is Reverend Mark R. Watson? Absolutely nobody.
Really? He didn't even have a position?
He was a reverend in Ridleyville, Pennsylvania.
Wow.
He was a church leader 3 states away from the capital. And he wrote a letter and said, hey, what do you think about putting God on the coins? And the fucking Secretary of State said, I'm gonna do it so fucking fast. He said, you will cause a device to be prepared without unnecessary delay, as fast as fucking possible, with a motto making express in the fewest and tersest words possible, as coded and as small as possible, get a cross on the coin. Mm-hmm. I don't care how you do it. As short and small and coded as possible. I don't know, put John 3:16 at the bottom of the cup. I don't care how you do it. Any reference to our God will make it known to the world that we are a Christian nation. Do it as quick as you can. Do it as small as you can. And then there were words back and forth about how to make it the tersus. It took about 2 years. Like, can you imagine anything getting done in 2 years in this fucking country? A letter goes back. I think it's from the same guy, from Salmon P. Chase, December 9th, 1863. It should be changed to read, In God We Trust. And this is the first instance of this phrase in American history. In a secret fucking combination, a secret conspiracy of Christians putting secret messages on public coins, confessing a belief in the God of Abraham and Isaac and Jacob. And that only with that can we be safe.
Yeah, we must declare it.
We must declare it or we cannot be safe.
Mm-hmm.
And so
it is our coins that will stay into the future.
Right, and that's how we'll be judged. And we were a heathen nation, and we changed it.
Yep.
Yeah.
What year again?
The Congress passed the design April 22nd, 1864. The motto first appeared in 1864 2-cent coin.
Wow.
1864.
Wow.
Yeah.
We lost what we were founded on in 1864.
They changed us from what we were into a Christian nation.
Is that 150 years?
From ago?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, practically, yeah. Yeah, over.
Damn.
Yeah.
And then slowly moved it to corporate of the U.S.
Yeah, and then
US
corporations took
corporate.
over. Yeah, and just like
We're
they did in Europe, too.
United States of people, we're United States of corporations.
Wow, jeez, do you have that written down? You want me to read that?
Yeah, it's great.
You gonna take some notes? You want to get up? You want to bear your testimony, Joe?
Fucking, I retweeted something today. There's
You do?
10 companies
Yeah?
that are paying $0 tax.
Who are they? What about Amazon? How much tax are they paying? How much tax are we paying?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. We made a net loss this year.
Yes, we
Oh.
did. Yeah.
Whoops. Oh, well.
Oh, man. So,
what?
the thing is, Amazon...
Oh, of course. Okay, wait. Let me guess. Apple.
Is IBM Apple?
No.
No.
Let's call IBM. Pays no tax?
Yep.
Okay, IBM's probably dying, to be honest.
Yeah.
IBM's not who we think IBM is. What about Elon Musk? Is he paying tax?
Oh, I don't know. This is an incomplete list now that I'm looking at it.
Oh, maybe just read off who they are then, because I'm not very good at guessing.
Yeah. According to this list, I didn't do my homework before I retweeted it.
Oh, well, that's all right.
Delta Airlines, Chevron, Occidental Petroleum,
Yeah, that sucks.
General Motors, Honeywell, IBM, Halliburton, Netflix.
Well, I can see Netflix. Like, Netflix is having a rough time.
And they're like, it's not even 1/5 of the list. Well, then why don't you do 1/5 so you can say this is 1/5 of the list?
Yeah.
But
Ian
there,
would
that
s-
was my rant.
Nice rant. It's a good one. I like it. Yeah, fuck those guys. Pay some taxes. Come on.
Uh-huh.
Come on. This is like getting a history lesson from the Discovery Channel, but with facts. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. That's nice. Maybe I should get in touch with the History Channel
That's a good
and
one.
ask them if they want some religion. Anyway, so I'm going through my scriptures here. We started at page 99, and then we read page 98, and now we're going to go to page 1.
Oh, good.
Page minus 1. Page minus 2 is blank at the moment. Page minus 3 is the cover. Page minus
Nice.
1 is also blank.
Leather.
But they have this like yellowy sort of pattern on them. Page 0 is white and blank. And page 1 starts thusly. Oingo Boingo. The Mystic Knights, in fact, of the Oingo Boingo is what they were called. We close our eyes.
I did not know that.
Yes, yeah. Very early. They dropped it quite early. And they eventually dropped the Boingo, right? They were like, fine, it's Oingo, fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the joke, the very early joke, which was the sort of nonsense long name of it, really had to be dropped over time. Gallagher, however, went the other way. He sort of expounded on his thing, and it became so unwieldy that he just had to sort of put the whole thing down. Sort of, as it were. Redonk says,
Hello, Redon.
hey, you might have a real chance of getting them to fund some sort of documentary on the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster. There is a documentary coming out soon.
Over in
There's
Europe somewhere?
in Europe, yeah. Pastafari has been filmed, from what I understand, and this guy's like sort of shopping around, I guess, as you do with films. I'm not really
That advanced yet?
yeah. I'm just, my production company does, sort of pornography and a little bit of propaganda.
Tours.
Yeah, and right, they're branching out with me into propaganda tours. So yeah, Pastafari, do go check that out. Hopefully it'll come out soon. I'm very excited about it. Unfortunately, they did not interview me, but they were over in Europe, and so they did interview Brother Spaghettus over in Germany, and I'm very excited to sort of hear his story and hear how that goes. But yeah, we're going to I'll be talking to my agent about sending out my sort of details to different interview shows. If you have any other sort of ideas about which shows I should appear on, someone was saying I should approach Joe Rogan and see if he wants to talk about Pastafarianism for a minute. Maybe Howard Stern if he's still doing his thing. Definitely David Letterman on his big old Let's Talk for like an hour straight show. Mm-hmm. Get on that. When everybody is running in the big race and having a good time, who am I to cast a shadow? Who am I? I looked death in the face last night. I saw him in a mirror, and he simply smiled. He told me not to worry. He told me just to take my time. We close our eyes, and the world has turned around again. We close our eyes and dream, and another year has come and gone. We close our eyes, and the world has turned around again. We close our eyes and dream. And if you come to me, and if you touch my hand, I might just slip away. I might just disappear. Who am I? And if you think I'm worth it, and if you think it's not too late, we might start falling. If we don't try too hard, we might start falling in love. We close our eyes and the world is turned around again. We close our eyes and dream, and another year has come and gone. We are on a healing path. We are on a roller coaster ride that can never turn back. And if you love me, and if you really try to make the seconds count, then we could close our eyes. That's page 1, 2, and 3 of the first volume of Scripture, available now to Patreon if you want to go check that out. I'm sort of reading them now to you to waste time, because I still have a lot of fucking days to live here. Rudonk says, seriously, spam the local news stations. Wherever you are, most of them are sitting around just waiting for someone to hand them a story. Might want to wait till after Easter, though. Perhaps. Perhaps that's a good idea. I'll definitely get on it with the with my producer. I'll be like, hey, let's get our communications department up to scrunch.
Yes.
Page 4 of the Scriptures is blank at the moment. Maybe I'll put something important there. Here is another poem entitled I Am a Pirate King. This, of course, by
Pirates of Penzance?
yeah, from Pirates of Penzance, right, by
And Gold.
yeah, right. Oh, I'm so embarrassed that I've forgotten the name of the...
Isn't it 2 people?
Yeah, right. It's not Rogers and Hammerstein.
No.
Nope. Damn, I got Rogers and Hammerstein stuck in my head. I knew it.
I got like Goldstein.
Oh, get out of my head, you bastards.
Oh.
Pirates of Penzance, Mikado. Oh, come on. All of these, come on. What? By Gilbert and Sullivan. Phew.
Gilbert.
Ah. Phew.
I had the G in 2 names.
That hurt my brain. Ouch. Ah. It's like mental constipation right there. Oh, I think I pulled something. Ouch. Alright. Oh, better far to live and die under the brave black flag I fly than play a sanctimonious part with a pirate head and a pirate heart. Away to the cheating world go you, where pirates all are well-to-do. But I'll be true to the song I sing, and live and die a pirate king. For I am a pirate king, and it is a glorious thing to be a pirate king. When I sally forth to seek my prey, I help myself in a royal way. I sink a few more ships, it's true, than a well-bred monarch ought to do. I generally skip this verse. But many a king on a first-class throne, if he wants to call his crown his own, must manage somehow to get through more dirty work than ever I do. So I do like that, of like, you might think that I'm doing some nasty shit, but like, fucking, you gotta do some filthy garbage to keep a throne. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there we go. Gilbert and Sullivan, a little bit there.
Nice.
I put that early in the book. We sort of thought a good way to break the ice. Sing a song very loudly and be like, there's going to be loudness happening in this space. Do not be alarmed. Do not be alarmed was one of my very first things. I said that very early.
Catchphrases.
Yeah,
Early
very
catchphrase.
first early phrases in the script.
Do not be alarmed.
Do not be alarmed, ladies and gentlemen.
And it's inspired from Britain, or the atheist of... He's like...
Oh, let's go watch that right now.
Yeah, it's hilarious. It's like, citizens of Brighton.
All right, that's right. Don't give it away. Oh no. All right. Let me put a marker right here. I've just been reminded of one of the greatest atheists of all time. I will now put on some music and search for it, and then you can enjoy it with us. I might even make it full screen. You never know, hey? You never know. We'll figure it out. Maybe not. It's hard to know. Alright, you fucks. I fucking muted it. Like practically instantly. I need some, like, knobs. So I can fucking turn the knob. Anyway, speaking of knobs, look at this fucking knob. No, I'm joking. This guy's great. So,
Super cute.
years ago, I was Mormon. And then after that, I was not Mormon. And then after that, I was thinking to myself, you know, it'd be really funny. Is a Pastafarian street preacher. That'd be hilarious. Like Pastafarian, but like preaching. What would that look like on the streets, like with the signs? What would that look like? And so I looked up some sort of, you know, reference material. Some people had done some work in it, eh? Some sort of like day projects. And I was like, let's try some of that. And so this was part of my research. I stumbled upon this fucking saint of atheism. I don't know why the rest of you atheists don't get out there and fucking get on the road like this guy. Tell me at all how this is harmful for the fucking conversations. Get the fuck out there and talk. Anyway, let's listen to Saint whoever this.
People of Brighton, I come here today to bring you a message of atheism, friendly atheism. I came past here a few months ago and there were some preachers here that told me that if I believe in evolution, that my life is meaningless, and that I just am born and I live and I die and that's it. I didn't agree with that. I didn't think that was right because I'm an atheist and I don't think my life is meaningless. So I thought, what can I do about this? I will come out and street preach like this. And you don't have to listen to me because if you don't listen to me, nothing bad is going to happen. There will be no consequences if you don't agree with me. It's fine. But, so why did he think that my life was meaningless as an atheist? Well, there are so many different ways of looking at the world, and they can't all be right. You could probably say that most of the ways that we look at the world are probably wrong. We're all pretty much not quite right. So if we're going to get anywhere, what can we agree on? What we can agree on is what is real. And the way that we measure and describe what is real is science. Now, science is a bit of a scary word sometimes, but science isn't always what you think it is. Forget the idea that science is opposed to religion. We all own science. Science belongs to all of us. It's the way that we all explore the universe. Using science and a bit of humility, we can come together on what it is that we actually do agree on and go from there. But if we only use science to describe who we are, does that mean that we become meaningless, that we are just mere blobs of matter? Well, I'd say no. There's nothing mere about being alive. If you look at the sky at night, you see the gigantic stars that are out there and all their blazing significance. They are not significant. It's living creatures that are the significant ones. All of the atoms in all of the stars would wish that they lived inside your head for one lifetime. It's as if there's a cosmic lottery where every atom in the universe is entered into the lottery, and very few of them will win the ultimate prize, which is one lifetime of consciousness, one lifetime in a brain like yours. Now, for me, only humans surely would win the greatest prize in the universe and then hope that there's something more, that prize could go on forever. And surely only humans can find themselves inhabiting the most elegantly sophisticated object in the known universe, our brains, and then not feel special, and then have to make up stories to make us feel special. Well, yes, I am an atheist. I do believe in evolution. Life is short, but life is special, and you are all almost miraculously special. Thank you very much.
So there's that. Come on. How gorgeous a sermon. Never a better sermon ever.
Still showing your page, just so you know.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I'm trying to look at like the comments here.
Cool.
He stood and spoke amid the folk who listened not to what he'd got. Did he just write this? Oh, excellent. Yet on he went, and not perturbed, 10 minutes spent, no soul disturbed. Well done, I say, well done indeed, for it's about time that all paid heed to voices such as his and mine. Don't worry, fella, you did fine. So here I offer up to you what none may proffer except a few like-minded souls who'd shake your hand and share your goals throughout the land. Remember how all began, for armies now beyond defeat, a daring dream and bold-faced plan, and one to speak it in the streets. This guy, I really don't know his name. Oh, yeah, Simon Clare. Here he is. Atheist Simon Clare, preaching for the first time on the streets of Brighton, UK. Why not? Absolutely, why not? Absolutely. I believe he was summarizing some arguments. Perhaps he summarized some Carl Sagan, some Hitchens. I think I heard a little bit of that in there, but what he was doing there was very much like a thing that we. Well, first of all, like that's gorgeous, right? That was
beautiful.
Yeah. Again, a better sermon. There's never been such a thing as a better sermon, right? That was perfect. That's achievable again, but unsurpassable. That is one of the greatest orations of all time, happening in an alley in Brighton to half a listener. It was gorgeous. And so, his sincerity is, of course, to be envied instead of mocked, right? His fearlessness in his sincerity, his public vulnerability is the answer to the nihilism that sort of rears its head, the sort of black and white, in for a penny, in for a pound, let's burn it to the ground nihilism. So, and it's everywhere. It's even in religion. You know, there's the nihilism of, if I kill my child before they are sinners, they get to go to heaven. There is that nihilism of a pure life is an unlived life, right? A pure life is a innocent, a murdered innocent, right? So there's sort of those strange ideas. Well, I have no idea where I was going with that shit. Anyway, good for him.
Woo.
What a beautiful sermon. What a beautiful sermon. He made some very flowery statements. He pulled it back at the end by saying practically miraculous. He said almost miraculous, but before that he did say that atoms would wish to be part of you. He added some condemnation that only humans would have the greatest gift that there can be, and say, well, it doesn't last forever, you know. And so, you know, he did a lot of he bore his testimony. He told you what he trusts. He empathized with his audience, being like, fucking science is kind of scary, but it's how we discover truth. You are special. You are beautiful. Like, what a beautiful sermon. Like just again, I can't say too many times. And what he's doing there is mostly extemporaneous. He had notes in his hand. I mean, he's thought about it before. He said a couple months ago. So he ruminated on it for months. He didn't challenge anyone. He didn't have a sign. He didn't wait until it was, you know, whatever time he could go, and he did it. And then maybe never did it again, right? And great, because you never have to do it again. Are you kidding me? That was perfect. Like, Jesus, fuck. And so, yeah, if more atheists felt this way, I think the conversation can move on. Because what I was saying before is part of the problem is that atheists are bringing the conversation back a step instead of forward a step. Because atheists say, the Christians say, I believe in Jesus, what do you believe in? And atheists say, I don't believe in anything. And Christians say, so you believe in the devil. And atheists say, no, I don't believe in the devil. And Christians say, but you believe in science. And they say, no, I don't believe in anything. And they go, but you believe in science. And they go, I don't believe in anything. But science requires faith. And so we're getting caught up right here. And so what atheists need to do is stop trying not to be, right? Don't be the person they think you are. Be the person they think you are. When they say you believe in science, say, yeah, I believe in science. Say, yes, I do. I believe in science. Do you believe in science? And they go, well, only when it doesn't contradict my God. And they're like, okay, well, I believe in God only when he doesn't contradict my science. Like, why is that wrong? Right?
Yep.
And so that's the conversation to have. Move the conversation forward. If you keep saying the things back and forth, you're going to get caught in a loop. And the atheists are getting caught in a loop, and they pretending they're not. And the loop is the atheists trying not to be that which the Christians think they are. So if your first response is, oh, I'm glad the fucking cathedral is on fire, let that be your first response. Say it out loud. If your fifth response is, oh, and I'm sad that some of those things are probably ruined, that makes me a little sad, I guess, but I'm not going to cry about it. That's fine, you're not a monster, again. Okay, so anyway, so this guy, Simon Clare, in Brighton, was doing something that is very reminiscent of something that we did in the Mormon church. I don't know how many of you are post-Mormons, so I'll tell you about Fast and Testimony Meeting, which happens every first Sunday of the month for all of the Mormons. A normal Mormon, a normal everyday person will get their family together around this time and fast. So all of the people, including, you know, the kids age 8 and older, or like 10 and older, like maybe even younger than that, like whoever wants to fast gets to, and everyone who's taking the sacrament, as it were, should be fasting, you know. So, and the fast lasts 24 hours, and it's monthly, and so you sort of time it with your first meal after church. So 24 hours before your first meal after church, which is usually lunch, or an early dinner, you start fasting. So lunch on Saturday is the last meal you eat, and then you fast until Sunday afternoon, early afternoon. So Sunday late morning, you're super hungry, the fast is at full effect, you're all delirious, and then you all get into a room, and for about 15 minutes you sing songs and talk about stuff and get the meeting in order, and then the guy says, alright, now this mic here is an open mic, and any of you normal motherfuckers who've been fasting can come up here and talk about Jesus and God and religion. And so then he sits down, and that mic sits there empty for a moment or two, and all of the people, and it's in every meeting, right? It's every Mormon is in this meeting on Sunday mornings, the first Sunday of the month. If they go to church, this is where they go. So you're given the sacrament, and then he does this thing, and then there's 45 minutes of fucking that mic waiting to be filled. Mm-hmm. And so if you're in a group of, like, a small group of 6 or 7 people, fucking everyone speaks every week. In New Zealand, where I went, fucking people spoke all the time. I went there on the mission, like, we missionaries would speak every fucking time in some of these places, because there were only 7-10 members, you know. There were only 2 people showed up today. We all bore our testimony, and we're like, okay, let's go home. Well, when I was a kid, it was a little more fucking... I was in a group of like 100 people, and so you would get up every couple months and do it, and it was a very emotional thing to do. Obviously, I mean, it was designed to be emotional. It's emotional motivators that get you up to that podium, and you know, Mormons do it. Like, every Mormon's done it. They've gone up to the podium, and generally there's a formula, and so very young kids see their older siblings doing it, and they say to their parents, I want to do it. Mm-hmm. And then so the parent says, well, you can do it. And then they go up, and then the kid says, what do you want me to say? Mm-hmm. What do I say now that I'm here? Mm-hmm. And so then the parent leans down and says, whispers in their ear, I love my mother and father. How does it begin? Do you remember? I'd like to bear my testimony. I know this church is true. I love my mother and father. Yep. I'm thankful for the prophet. I know Jesus is the Savior. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen. Mm-hmm. Something like that,
Yeah.
But it definitely is.
And I can get to heaven with my family.
Yeah. But the core of it is, I'd like to bear my testimony. I know this church is true. Mm-hmm. I love my mother and father. Mm-hmm. Right? Those 3 statements, the first 2 are pretty fucking solid in a row. Mm-hmm. Every child's testimony says, I'd like to bear my testimony. I know this church is true. Mm-hmm. And then that's sort of the ramp up to the improvisational part. Yeah. And so you improvise after that. But the beginning of the improv is. Does it start? I'm Mitchell. Do you say your name?
No.
You just get up there. You say, "I'd like to bear my testimony. I know this church is true. Mm-hmm. I love my mother and father."
I think there might be even one more line in between mom and dad of "I know God" or something.
Is that right?
God is true, or
yeah.
I feel like, and then it was like, "I love my family." Mm-hmm. I'm blessed to have such good parents.
Right, it becomes improvisational.
Yeah.
Right, you get to talk about whatever you want.
But it's definitely, I know this church is true.
Right, that's how you. Yeah. That is the second fucking line.
I bear my testimony.
Right. I want to bear my testimony that I know this church is true. And you say that before you say, I know Jesus is Savior, I know I love my parents. And so, you know, it's a weird thing, okay? And every Mormon you know knows about it, right? Every Mormon you know, if you say those 2 sentences in a row, I like to bear my testimony in their mind over and over. I know this church is true. They'll probably say it, right? They're so fucking hooked together, these ideas.
I know.
And,
Funky.
yeah. I had a fat Muslim friend growing up, says Redonk. I remember him trying to fast in the 8th grade. A few kids left the table to get something, and he broke and ate all their lunches in 30 seconds. That's rough. Oh man, the fasts are weird, especially when it's compulsory, right? Like when it's not a voluntary fast. Like what we're doing? What we're fasting? Okay, it's just like it's torture. Sounds like Mormon rap. There was a Mormon rap in 1987.
Pull it up.
It goes like this: Mormon rap, do the Mormon rap. There was a video of me and my friend Cameron, and probably our other friend Joe, and we were all Mormons, and probably some of Cameron's family. I think his brother was going on a mission or coming home. And like the Mormon rap came out, and the camera was there, and we were sending it to him. That's right. It was in a letter to the missionary, and so we sang. First of all, we sang "Kokomo" by the Beach Boys, "Kokomo," and we lip synced to "Kokomo."
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice lip syncing was a big thing.
Oh, a huge thing. And then we lip synced to the Mormon rap, and so because we were like, well, since we got it out, let's do some cool shit. Right, we were trying to impress them with Kokomo by how hip we were, like how modern we were, and then we were like, yeah, but Mormon rap, and so, it was a good time. Throw a beat behind that, you got a hit. I haven't had my musical instruments out. I do have some music that I wrote on this channel. If you want to go check out the playlist, there's a little bit of music I wrote when I was a 17-year-old Mormon getting ready to go on the mission, returning from the mission. That's sort of I was very musical back then. You can go listen to that. It's quite good shit. But it's not very good rap beats. I was not very hip-hop-y, except for I was a little bit Will Smithy. I was a little bit, or DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince.
So, how would we get our hands on that video of you as a kid rapping?
I don't know.
Possible.
I don't know. It might be possible. I'd have to do some like deep stalking of some very old friends. I don't know how.
On some Facebook.
I don't know how well that will go over. All of these people were Mormons, so, obviously, and so as a very aggressively post-Mormon, I try to leave them alone, just so that they're not just the very idea of me is pretty offensive. Although I've not been excommunicated yet. All right, so the reason that I was talking about fast and testimony meeting is because this idea of getting up there and bearing your testimony is valuable. Like, it's very good to do. It's very cathartic. It's the reason people go to church. There's a reason people go there. And saying, okay, well, I'm not going to be religious, it really is a baby in the bathwater situation. You still need to take care of those things that you must do religiously. And one of the things that a lot of Mormons do religiously is bear their testimony in pseudo-public, right? In front of people, but it's a private building with everyone welcome on it, right? It's in this lie, right?
Yeah.
They're pretending it's public, it's not public. They're pretending these words are meaningful, they're not. They're not recorded, they're not written down, they're all thrown away. And so, but it's good, it's delicious, it feels good. And if it's used for nefarious purposes, it's disgusting, right? When the fucking line that they get you to say during it is, I know this church is true, it's abusive. What I would prefer they say is, I seek truth, or I seek love, or I worship communication. Something more that we can agree on, instead of, I know this church is true, which is literally something that the inside and the outside can agree on. That would be something cool. But anyway, I invite you people who are... who don't have this in your life, because I do, obviously, I'm doing it right now. I've done it earlier when I was talking about the goddamn, the cathedral. I bore my fucking testimony about the cathedral, and Simon Clare here bore his testimony about a number of things. That was what we were listening to, and it was very short, it was less than 4 minutes, and changed the fucking world, absolutely it did. To the, and I like that he acknowledged that this was a reflection of the crazies out there, right? Of like, why do the crazies get a voice and I don't get a voice? I get a voice if the crazies get a voice, and this is what my voice sounds like.
Yeah.
And so, Simon Clare is a fucking rocker. Redonk says the Mormons were getting jiggy with it. Yeah, a little bit before that. So Nightmare on My Street, right? And He's the DJ and the Rapper is the album that we got. And then I moved away from my very cool and hip friend Cameron, and it took me a while to find a group of humans who were as cool as Cameron and our friends were in the 5th grade. 5th grade was one of my early peaks. It was a very good year, and then I had to move for 6th grade, and that was kind of a weird mess. I already talked about it with when I was talking about wrestling. I talked about Casey. Go check that episode if you want to hear about that. I think the link is in the description. So, yeah, that's right. Anyway, so don't forget to bell the bell. No, that's funny. That's self-referential humor. I'm talking about YouTube humor. It's funny. So, the channel here is intentionally meant to parody, to be a response to the people in the street. And the people in the street right now that I'm responding to are like Ruben Israel and Jesse Morell and Lonnie Mathern and EC Street Preacher, who I have talked to. There was one day, listen to this story. I don't know, I probably told this story before, but I think it's a great story. Lonnie Mathern's a really fucking hilarious and cool cat down there in New Orleans, and he preaches Christianity, and he's kind of nice about it. Whereas a lot of people really get caught up in like the sensationalism of it, the conflict of it, the Ruben Israels of it, and the fucking Jesse Morells of it. Fucking Lonnie Mathern is somehow able to just stay pretty cool and be pretty chill. He has these tracts, and he can walk down a street and fucking 10 for 10 fucking put them in their hands, and I challenge you to attempt it. Just get 10 pieces of paper, put on there anything you want, and so, good or bad, be like, you're a nice person, everything's gonna be fine. Put as much goodness, happiness on there, and you still can't get that in 10 out of 10 hands. Like, you can be the nicest, benignest, fucking non-threatening sentence and just being like, hey man, everything's gonna be fine. And no, half of the fuckers are just like, get the fuck away from me. But Lonnie Mathern can 10 for 10. Like, he just goes and fucking people are like, oh, thanks. Like, thank them for fucking tracting him. It's amazing. And he does it because he's fucking genuine. He's sincere. Like, he really fucking gives a shit. Everyone can fucking tell. Whereas Jesse Morell is not playing that game anymore. He's moved on to this really strategic fucking punch him in the guts. Like, it's like, okay, but Lonnie Mathern never got fucking jaded. He really is genuine and cool. And, trying to help people. And is misguided, right? And like, it doesn't believe what I believe, right? But it still is trying to help people, and it's like, oh, well, yeah, and nobody believes what I believe. Every fucking, your religion in your mind is like a fingerprint, it's just like, it's yours. No one's got your fingerprint, sorry. You can't be like, oh, cool, we're the same. My morality depends on my fingerprint. Like, that's crazy. So, anyway. So, those are the channels that I'm emulating. And I'm really worried that with all these really good graphics and sort of like daily streams and stuff, and like the backing of our production company here, that we're gonna get too good. We're gonna get too YouTubey, too polished, and too professional. And so the Horror of Babylon has given us some of these beginning graphics that we're using in our videos. And the anonymous Carl Johnson really helped us out with the spring tour. Also, Sister Julie, who paid for travel and lodging, and all the saints out there that fed me. Like, I ate at everyone's house. They're like, "Do you want seconds?" And they're like, "You bet, motherfucker!" Like, I spent like so few dollars out there, it's obscene. Like, it definitely is like abuse, going and sleeping on people's couches and being like, yeah, thanks for the food, but like, that's the That's the old game, eh? That's the street art game. Going out there and trying to do what Paul did is save the heathens.
Yep. And send letters to the other cities.
Right. So if you do want me to come out to your city, all I need is an airline ticket and a couch and 1,000 calories a day. I might be able to scrounge up my own calories. And you can come out with me as we go out. You can fucking pick a place as long as it's fucking public land, free speech, American rights rule. Let's fucking go, I say.
Do you have your passport up to date?
No.
We'd have to work on that.
Yeah. If you're out of the United States, it's gonna take a minute to get my passport in order.
But we'll do it.
Definitely will do it. Yeah. Because, you know, the more things I preach in front of, the more fucking normalized these things become, and that's the point, is to normalize your religion. Tell this world what's normal. You're normal. Tell this world. This world doesn't know what's normal. You're normal. Tell the world what it is.
Mm-hmm. If we're all doing that,
it would be great if we all did that. Like I
honestly,
cannot think of a problem that we won't solve if we do that. Go ahead, tell me a problem that won't be solved by that thing that I just proposed to live and to love and to have and to hold. Let's criticize Mormonism a little bit more. Let's talk about the fucking bullshit of the fucking celestial marriage. So if you're a Mormon, the ideal sort of circumstance is to smooch your wife for the very first time right after they pronounce you man and wife. And that will happen in a room called the sealing room, which means it has a ceiling in it.
yes. It does have a ceiling in it.
Right.
It also has some mirrors.
I believe so. That there is a pair of parallel mirrors. There's an altar. It's actually called the sealing room because things are sealed together. See how it works? Two humans are sealed together, not because there is a ceiling. That was a pun or play on words.
Yes.
To invoke a sense of silliness and lightheartedness inside of you.
This scary, heavy cultic stuff.
Yes. To compare and contrast the very strange goings-on in these cultic things to the real light of the world, and to show how silly this bullshit is. Yes, comedy is very useful for that. And so, yeah, I think that there is an altar in this room, and it's called an altar, and the two people who are being married put their hands across the altar, and it must be one man and it must be one woman, and it cannot be two men and it cannot be two women. Currently, and that's going to change in less than 14 years. And
and in the past could be multiple.
Well, that's what it was made for. The temple, in fact, was the sex club of Joseph Smith. The temple, in fact, was the place that he created so that he could take his sexual victims to a building where he wouldn't be caught. Like, the whole thing is set up to hide Joseph Smith's infidelity, even from each of the victims. There were pairs of sisters that were each victims. Neither of them knew.
Brutal.
And the temple system was set up literally for that. And that's why the marriages still happen there, is because he had celestial marriages. And that's why he was able to marry so many people, and so many young people, and so many people that worked for him.
Are already married.
Yeah, and were already married, yeah. And yeah. So this is the sealing room. This is where it happened. And there was an altar, and it was probably a bed at one point, and he probably took him in there, and he probably just boned him. But it turned into, now, the man and the wife reach across, and they hold each other's hand, and blah, blah, blah. And there's a pair of mirrors in there, which is witchcraft, by the way. Parallel mirrors.
Oh, nice.
Is part of witches will not be caught between parallel mirrors.
Oh.
Yeah. So, there's a little bit of that for you. Like, witches won't go there. Like a vampire won't cross running water. Witches can't go between, right?
Interesting.
So the sealing room. My complaint. I'm almost to my complaint. We're getting there, ladies and gentlemen. My complaint about the sealing room is that only temple-worthy Mormons are allowed in there. And that's where you're going to first kiss your wife, and that's where you're going to get married. Right in this fucking creepy fucking sex room. And no one's invited there unless they've gone through the endowment rooms. Or they're a special kind of child, right? If your kids are allowed in there, if you're getting married again and some shit. And so, as post-Mormons, I can't see any of the Mormon weddings. And as a Mormon, you can't want anyone there who can't be there. You can't want to get married outside of the temple because you want your dad there. You can't want that. You have to choose this over the other thing. Yeah, it's a sin to be like, you know what, we're just going to get married in public so that everyone can be there and celebrate the union between my spouse and I, and the change in life. And this is a communal thing instead of a hidden away thing. This is a public celebration instead of a celebration in the most private of rooms. And there's my complaint. Did I finally get to it? I think I did. Fuck those guys for fucking turning marriage into some bullshit.
Yeah.
And why? To protect a sexual predator. Like, why? Really, why? Because there was once a sexual predator.
Yeah.
The story goes, there was once a man named Joseph Smith, and he was a mess. And because of that, Mormons get married in the sealing room. Bullshit.
Bullshit.
Yeah. Bullshit and hate. And so, if the St. George Temple is on fire, and I'm celebrating, you can't call me a monster. Because we're celebrating that the monsters are on fire. The monsters are on fire.
Yeah.
Right.
They killed me before.
Right. I have missing family that was too gay to live. Like, they are there. They are missing. Okay? They were abused. And for the past 3.5 years, they were told they were apostates. They were told they were evil very, very clearly. And then they just get to say, oh, never mind. No, you've got to tell me the names of your victims now. You have to enumerate them. Who died because of this policy? Apologize. And they can't. They said they won't. It's part of their policy. God never apologizes. Disgusting. Look what they're trying to be. Look what they're trying to emulate, something that never apologizes. Is that what you want to be? Do you want to be something that cannot apologize? I don't. I want to be something that keeps learning, continues to learn, that always understands that I won't achieve perfection. I'm not going for perfection. I'm trying to reduce my flaws. I'll never get there. So, repentance is forever. But not for them. They have stopped. No more apologizing. The church doesn't apologize. The lawyer apostle said that.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. The Mormon church has a lawyer apostle right now. I fucking find that to be very ironic. Should we talk about that? Let's get back to my book here. We're sort of off script. Oh shit, it's 2 o'clock, everybody. I guess I'm gonna wrap it up. I got shit to do. Thanks again for coming by, listening to all my rants. If there's anything you want me to rant about, please do. Drop it in the notes there. I suppose I'll be back again all week, although I seem to be getting further and further into debt with these guys, but like, there doesn't seem to be any options, apart from, you know, the kneecaps in the hospital. So, should we listen to music? Should we just fucking go? You want to listen to a song or anything?
Yeah.
Let's see if there's a song worth listening to. No, there's nothing worth listening to, so I guess we're just gonna have to wrap it
Bed
up.
is burning.
That's a good one. Who's that?
I don't know.
Who sings that?
Something from the 80s.
Yeah, who sings it?
I don't know.
You don't know.
I don't know.
You don't know. Who does sing it? You sing it now. Alright, well, again, thanks for coming by. I'm going to read more of my scriptures later. And, yeah, I'll be back tomorrow. I'll be back the next day. I'll be back the next day. Fucking this Saturday is 420. We're going to be down in Denver for 420. Join us for that shit. We're going to get fucked up. We're going to have my camera and all my shit. And we won't be live streaming though, because we don't do that shit. But I will have a video. We might have some more spring videos coming out. Thanks for stopping by. I love you. See you soon. See you never.